Hello. Anyone here? Since the stream isn't on your channel, I don't actually expect much people to be around here. I wasn't gonna tweet it on the main Spark account, but I ended up doing that. Oh my god, my mic is clipping. It shouldn't clip now, I think. Hopefully it's high enough for you guys to hear me. Oh god, I still sound like shit. Hello, someone. There's a person in the chat. Just waiting for everyone to drop by. And then we can start. I should make a little text file with notes. Hopefully the stream quality isn't bad. I'm streaming in 180p just because I feel like you guys probably need the whole resolution to just see text inside of Fusion. Hello, everyone. Give us 5 minutes and I'll start taking requests from the chat. But first things first, I am rusty as all hell in Fusion. I just a couple weeks ago reinstalled it, got it all working. I hope. I mean, I can like open up the source of Spark and it works, and I have a not so simple worlds opened just because. And yeah, I think we're set for today. I just hope I remember how to do things in Fusion, because I feel like whenever I teach things in Fusion now, I kind of apply what I've learned through regular code into Fusion. So I think my code is it would be a little bit better if I actually returned to making stuff in Fusion. Maybe the music is a little too loud, I don't know. But it's like it would be a little better, but it'd also be far harder to understand for most people. I don't know. We'll see. So let's just wait until everyone comes in. We're 3 minutes in already. Huh. Yeah, I think I am starting a little early though. A lot of people just aren't here yet, I don't think. But this is the time I got to do a stream. I was going to do the stream in like the middle of the night, like in the middle of the morning, like at 2 a.m. at some point. I just had an idea to do that. It's really nice to see how the community has improved as well. So sometimes I wonder how much of this tutorial stream might be really needed. I feel like some people might have surpassed me at this point. So we'll see. We'll see. Don't mind me messing with my beard, because I kind of do that. I should just get into the thick of things. Okay. In the chat, please post any sort of request, anything you guys like to see me do in Fusion. Anything you'd like to know how I would do it. As long as it's, I guess, not too complicated, because or else it won't fit. Like, don't tell me to make an entire game in here, because I don't think I can do that. You know, but if you want to know about anything, it doesn't have to be a request about programming. It could be just design advice. Anything will do. No, I do not want to be your sugar daddy. Mine build 17. I did not. Want me to Eggman floating like up and down? This one's simple. So I don't know if we can grab a sprite. So over here, you double click an empty space, you can just get like an active. Let's put this active over there. Let's do this. Let's make it a little bigger. And just draw a little Eggman on it. Let's see how good am I at drawing in Fusion. Perfect. Okay. So there are many ways of doing this, really. It's a little like it's a little complicated because ideally you want to do it using a sine wave. So with Fusion, and this is like one of the things that I have to just wrap my mind around again because there's variables, and the variables in Fusion are only, I think they're all either integers or floating point variables, and the difference between those is that a floating point has decimal values like 0.1 and 0.2, and it goes up just like any other value, but an integer is just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the object's position is never a float. I think it's always an integer. So you have to make a, like, for example, Sonic's position in the game is not stored by his actual, like, if you take the hitbox, for example, and like it's not his position as it's stated over here. There's in the M movement values, the value variable holder, value holder. You can actually see somewhere in there you have its float X and float Y. It's X position and Y position in the X and Y grid. I think this is Y and this is X. It's funny because like in Fusion, I think this is Y0. You can kind of see here in the bottom, you can see the mouse position. It tells you. So the Y0 is over here, and the further down you go, the bigger the Y value gets. In other game engines, it's the opposite. It's the higher you go. In this case, I'm here on the negatives. But so here's what you need to do. You just create a new alterable value. Let's just say this is it's float Y. And there are many ways of doing this. It just depends on what you need to do, because yes, I can just get a thing that moves up and down, but what if you want to move it around, for example, and just have the character move up and down in that spot specifically? That's a little bit more complicated. Let's create a new group of events. Eggman floating. So then we can go in Eggman over here, or just do Ace. In this case, we need to do start a frame. This is all the events in green. I think they don't execute in the regular game loop. They only execute like they execute outside of the game loops. For example, on loop reset game, that's a loop you can just make. And in this case, I've made it. It's somewhere when you collide with not collide, but like when you in the scene, it just triggers this thing. So over here, we're gonna set our Eggman, which is this object. It's just inactive. We're gonna set its alterable values. We're gonna set float Y to the Eggman's own position. We're gonna set it to its own Y coordinate. Then we can just do an always, and then we can set its then we can set an alterable value. We're gonna set float Y to what exactly should we set it to? I think it's like sin of time. So sin is a it's not working. Timer, it's timer. You have to type timer. It's like, this is the thing, right? It's like, this is code. I'm using QuickTime Fusion. You know, some people like QuickTime Fusion doesn't have code. Oh, it definitely does. So yeah, there's sin over here, but a sine wave, it's a function that takes a time variable, or it just takes a value that keeps going up infinitely, or in this case, or it takes an angle basically. But I just say time because, like, angles go from 0 to 360. In this case, they do, I think. But the thing is that if they go over 360, they're still valid. Like, you can have a 720 angle. It's still a valid angle. So, I don't know. Let's just go with that. So, float Y. We're going to set float Y to... and this is the thing you should have done. We should have gone over here and set position plus sin of timer. Now, this is just going to do a very simple thing, and it's not really that impressive. But also, after this, we need to go here and add. Where is it? Add or insert? I don't remember the difference between the two, actually. We're gonna set its position, its y coordinate, to itself. Not to itself, but to its float y variable. In this case, we are converting, like pretty much converting a float to an integer, but man, I remember, and I didn't even used to use those terms. I just said you need to make a variable and set its own position to itself. So, wait, no, it's wrong. Float y. But y is just do this, like set y position to float y. In this case, we're setting back. We're like, okay, in the beginning of the frame, we're just setting the float to which is its float position to its own position, and then we're setting the float to itself plus the sin, the original sin. But yeah, and then I got that again. I think that's gonna work. It's been a while since I did this. So I think if we see it, oh, oh, actually no, it's just that I think it's going up. Yeah, okay. Because I set it to plus that, it's just gonna keep going up forever. I don't know why exactly, because the sin is kind of supposed to cancel itself out, because it goes into the negatives and then comes back, but it's basically a variable that just goes 0 to 1 and then back to 0 and then back to minus and then to -1 and then back to 0 and then back to -1. It's a wave. It keeps going up and down. And it's very useful. Gotta need to turn on my fan because my air conditioning is I don't know what's happening to it. It's just not chilling as much as it used to. But in this case, oh, I guess it's because I'm being stupid and not doing this. I should set it to float y and then do that. Should work now. Yeah, there we go. Now I have an Eggman that just moves up and down. Now we can do like, if you want to like change the speed that it moves up and down, you can to change the speed of the sine wave. I think all you can do is just multiply the time variable by like 0.5. Now, if you want to increase the amplitude of everything, you have to multiply the whole function by a variable, a value, just 2, a number. But the thing is that, what is the thing? No, that's just it. You just gotta do that. Basically, what we're doing over here is that timer is just a variable that starts off counting from the beginning of your game, and it just keeps counting upwards. It's always there, and it'll keep counting as long as your game is active. And in case you're setting sin to timer, that means it's imagine like an angle wheel, like spinning, like spinning around. And that's what timer is. It's pointing towards an angle, whatever that angle is. Even if the angle is 1,500 something, it's still a valid angle in that angle wheel. But if you multiply this timer variable by a value, it will look like it's going around the wheel much slower. So you get a much longer wave. But now the size of the wave, which is amplitude in this case, it's you multiply the whole function by it, and then you get a bigger wave. So let's make this a 10. I have a controller. What the hell am I using? Controlling this with keyboard. In this case, like, it kind of looks like it's going faster, but it's moving a much faster distance because of the 10 that we multiplied it by. Now we're multiplying timer by 0.5. I don't like using division, like dividing it by 0.5, because I don't know exactly. I just feel like multiplication is more predictable. Plus, if you divide something by 0, it's gonna give you an error. In this case, let me set it to 0.1 times 0.1. Multiplying it by 0.1 is the same as dividing by 10, I think. But I just like to use multiplication values. It's just safer. Okay, yeah, now he's just moving all around, but it's doing it much slower. Now there's some weird behavior here, I think. Let me just do it like this. Let's see what happens. Okay, yeah, now it's much slower. It's a little weird though. Where is its start position? I feel like there's some funkiness going on in here. Okay, let's put it in a place that's let's move its center. Oh, it's already here. Okay, let's click play. Oh, I can see that. It's almost like the sine wave variable never goes to -1. I need to stop the music, I forgot. Hopefully it wasn't getting in the way. He do be vibing, he's like... Yep. It's funny though, because that's not the only use for that. Now that we have just a variable that goes up and down, someone mentioned vibing, one thing that we can do is to just set the angle to it. So let me activate. What I should do? Should delete. We can set the angle to that variable too. Set angle. I'll just set the angle to. Oh my god, it's gone. Why is it gone? Okay. Oh, we don't need this. We can just set it to this and be done with it. I can kind of get Eggman to just let's do this. I'll maybe make it ×5 maybe. 0. Every time you change an angle, keep the quality at 0 unless it looks weird. But yeah. And now we have a wobbly Eggman. So, okay. That was the Eggman. I'm not sure if anyone has any other requests. Someone said physical combat at combos. I did a whole stream series on that one by making just a Mega Man X engine. Not Mega Man X, Mega Man Zero engine. I mean, it's also Mega Man because you can easily convert that into Mega Man, but you can just look into that one. But yeah, he'd be vibing. Sonic isn't pleased though. Neither is Knuckles. Okay. I'm ready to take in whatever's next. Well, while I'm waiting for that, I guess we'll just explain like what's actually going on here. I feel like I've already done it. I just want to like really get you guys to understand. Also, yes, you can inactivate and activate lines by right-clicking. It just deactivates a line here. But it's funny. So let me zoom in. I should have zoomed in this whole time. It's just like it's setting a float variable to its Y position. And then there's and every frame, it's going to grab a variable from this sin function. And now we have to encapsulate it. So it'll multiply this result by 2. In this case, it does the timer calculation, and then the sin function runs. And then this runs, which is just multiplies the result of this times 2. And then this whole thing is added to our float Y position, and then we set our Y position back to the float. It's complicated, but like in a case like this, what you want to do is have it like this. And then over here, you can do whatever you want, like float Y plus, set float Y to float Y plus 1. In this case, it would just move somewhere, but it would probably still have the... In this case, you can even do this. Or let's make a minus. In this case, it'll still have the wobbliness, or at least it should. Yeah, it still has the wobbliness, but over time, it slowly moves up. That's what you ideally would do. You have the sine wave thing set first, and then you just move the enemy anywhere you wanted using this. I'm not sure if you can use the easing object with this. I'm not sure. Someone asks if I could make a boss where Eggman shoots lasers out of his eyes and shoots sharks out of a shark bot thing. I don't know if I can do that, sorry. Ugh, it's a little too much. Just as a reminder, this stream is not just about Fusion programming advice. It's also for like if you guys want design advice too. After this, can I make it a weight 20 character to be able to shoot a projectile? Yeah, that's really easy. So it would be interesting using this movement objects for floating in water. I think floating in water is a... there's a way to fake this sine wave motion by just having just manipulating, like doing it how it would look like in the real world by just having an actual speed variable that you increase if you got in water, and it will only increase up to a point so that it won't shoot you straight out of water. I can do water floating if you want, but so shooting a projectile, let me just deactivate this group. We can also deactivate a group by clicking edit and clicking activate when frame starts. But you can just do that. Let's make a new group, insert new group of events. I don't know why you can have a group with a password. It's so weird. I'm not sure if I like that feature. Still. So projectile. Now, if it's gonna be fired by the player, I think we should actually use the engine for this one. So, as always, I like to minimize all the groups. Is there any shortcuts to zooming out? No. I'm gonna zoom out for this one. But in this case, I think in general methods, no, it's object management and player. We have several actions we can make, and yeah, we can just make actions. So over here, let's make shadow fire some projectile. Yeah. So we're just gonna do this in action in shadows group, but you don't have to. Now look at this. In this case, the group is it's being activated by this thing, which is why it's gray. It's not it. I didn't deactivate it the same way I did it over there, which is to activate and activate line. So you need to do it like this. In this case, we're gonna create a new group of events. Just call it actions, just to keep it with the theme, make it organized. Action 55 or 54 projectile. I'm not gonna be adding any new sprites for shadow. It's just gonna be something really simple. So in this case, let me just check how the actions worked over here. They're not that big of a deal, but go over here, activate frame starts. We start with an always, and as always, we need to set certain conditions for it. Now, I don't know exactly what is the active target. I don't know exactly how the shadows homing attack function works, so I'm just gonna leave it completely out of there. Let me just delete this. So in this case, this always function is just going to have a function. This always event is just gonna have all those things that are active all the time. In this case, we can set an animation to something. In this case, the wall jump, action 53, setting animation to 55, which is a little weird. So let's, okay, wait, hold on, is 54 ever used? Yeah, 54 is used in action 52. Oh my god. I'm gonna set this to 555. Problem solved. In the beginning, you can even just set the X and Y speed to 0. Let's do that in this case. Just to make it a little, add some pizzazz to it. So in this case, we can, someone said that I'm making more hedge physics tutorials. I could make a hedge physics tutorial, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I should, because the thing is about my Unity knowledge is that I have Unity knowledge, obviously, because I've been working at it for a long time, but it's just, I think there's people who are far better than me just don't feel like I should, but still. Okay, so we need a counter to just add up. And I like using counters and functions because the good thing about counters is that you can have complete control of how much time the player will stay in that function. In this case, we're just going to improvise and just use a variable from shadow. So by shadow, we're just going to use the shadow skin and make a variable in that skin. In this case, we're going to use, let's just use C, alterable value C. Set it to 0 at the beginning. Well, we need one of the most useful things, only one action, well, event loops. This is a Fusion exclusive thing that I have not seen in any other game engine. It's one of the most powerful things in Fusion, where if this group is triggered and this event triggers, this is only gonna trigger once and it's done. So let's go in this always function and also set it to only one event while action loops or event loops. And then I'm gonna go back and do this because I always want animation to be 555. We don't need to do this either, and this. So now we have an always, and over here we can copy this, and I'll set alterable value C to. Let's make it like this. I could have it like this, but I always prefer having it in this format. So we set to values C, and now we set alterable value C to itself plus 1, and now it's just gonna count 1 to 1. It's just gonna count every single frame in the game. It's gonna count 1. That means that whenever this variable which is 60, a second has passed. So you can use that to figure yourself out of this. In this case, let's go select shadow again. Can't fucking find him. Oh yeah, there's one thing you can do that's very, very useful. We can just go over here, alterable values. Oh wait, this is a group object, but alterable values, compare. Just say greater than 60. And one thing that we can do is that this object just some other object, right? But we can do this, and now it's shadow. This is a really useful thing about Fusion you can always do. And in this case, once the variable which is 60, we set itself back to 0. And we set action to 1 again. So go over here, action to 1. In this case, you're setting the, well, not to 1, but to 0, because that's the common function, which is just idle when walking. That's what common is. And then 1 is jump and look up and all that. Someone said maybe using passwords won't people won't hack your projectile code. Well, I mean, first of all, Fusion's like, people haven't, like, some people have decompiled Fusion games. Specifically, they did it for FNAF, which is, man, like, I've always wanted to see a Fusion decompiler just so I could like actually dig in through my game's code and see how it works, because this is not game code. This gets converted into some form of code that runs the game, or just gets straight compiled into it. And I want to see that. I want to see what Fusion does with my game, but I can't see it. A decompiler could be a way of seeing it, but I unfortunately never got my hands on one that worked with Fusion 2.5. Only with the old MMF2. But I'm going on tangents. Let's go back in here. So this is just a basic function, and we don't even have the projectile yet. This is just the basics of a function. Not a function, an action. God, I'm fucking completely changing my terms. But over here, we're going to go in a group of events, and we're going to call it projectile. So we're going to do this. We're going to check if the character is shadow. Now the character is set by this. We need to compare it to alterable value. And go to character. I forgot which one was shadow, actually. I think there's debug. So depending what key we press. Is it 4? If you press 4, it's character 4. So the shadow is character 4. So if characters equal to 4, actually, it's still funny because we have two character variables. We have this one, and we also have a global variable. So if you go in this, you can compare it to a global value, and it also has a game character over here. So we can just compare it to this one, which I think is far more useful than using the other one. Plus, it's also a much smaller little line. It doesn't have a huge icon next to it. So yeah. And in this case, we're going to also make a new. We're going to insert here a new condition. And it's just going to be the keyboard upon pressing a key. Well, I wouldn't have to use that. Let's not do it like that. Let's do using the proper method. So yes, you can press a keyboard key, or you can check for a keyboard key being pressed and do an event, but that means that any form of controller compatibility with actual controllers, game controllers, or other forms of input that are not keyboards is not going to work. So in general methods, I think it has in step events you have input manager, and the input manager has everything you need, and it sets. It even has an input queue. An input queue will be, I think the purpose of this is to be an input buffer. So if you're familiar with fighting games, you know what an input buffer is, but it just buffers your, like, you press a button and it just like, let's say you press a button right before you land, but because you pressed the button right before you landed on the ground, your character won't jump. But the input buffer makes sure that the character will jump because you did press the button, you just didn't press it at the correct time. So it helps with that. But in this case, it has also functions for Xbox controller and joysticks and stuff like that. As you might have seen, I did something here in the code, which I destroyed the controller object. If I don't destroy the controller object, in some machines, your game will run like this. It's a little hard to see, but as you can tell, it's quite slow. There's something about this controller object that makes the game incredibly slow. I still don't know why, but the best way to deal with it is just to destroy it, unfortunately. So that means that the game most likely will only support, if you have this thing not destroyed in your platform, in your game, it'll only have support for Xbox control. Well, it'll just slow down on some people's computers. Now, if you destroy it, Xbox controllers will still be supported, but a lot of controllers are not Xbox controllers. So Xbox is one of the most popular types of controllers for PC, so it's not really that bad, but still. So over here, game character is equal to 5, and the proper way of doing input is by using this object, which is it's supposed to be an I1, because I think someone must have tried to make an I2 at some point, but which is input 2. But in this case, we're going to use one of its variables, and we have a lot of variables here. We have key pressed, key down, key up, key down, key left, and those are all just directions. So pressed up, press down, press left, press right, and we have also A. Let's go and select key action. You have C and D as well, so let's go for C, which those are additions. I think I did C and D in Simple World, not Simple Worlds, but for Spark, and then I adapted it here. Someone said damn Fusion's dead and optimized. Well, that's an extension. The controller is an extension that has not been updated for a long time. Well, it has been updated. It has a new controller extension, but I don't remember exactly why yet. Yeah, then that scared me a little bit. There's a lot of wind going by, and that likes to close doors very fast. But basically, I think I added C and D for Spark, but basically it's just the face buttons. I think originally Fusion only had support for 2 buttons, I think. But anyways, we just go with a key action C pressed. That means this event will only trigger right after you press a key, and then it won't. Now we have to set it equal to 1. And then we can go to what is it? Yeah, set. It's the character's action to whatever action, and in this case was 555. And this will do exactly that. Now, it might transition to itself. So one thing that we might have to do is this. So I'm just copying that and making it so it does this. So we're going to go over here. Action is different than itself. So we can only trigger if it's not already in action 555. Now in this case, it's going to trigger at any action. So it doesn't matter what your character is doing, including dying, we might be able to shoot a projectile. So usually you would have to go over here and add like a action is different than the character is dying, which, if I remember, die is action 9, so you probably have to do something like this. Either that or you set the character can only do this attack if he is walking. So you just set it to equal to 0 in this case. So only if he's on the ground and walking, he can shoot a projectile. So you can do it like that. Let's keep it like that then. In this case, it's going to go to this action. So if we click on play... Wait, I set game character to 5 and not 4 this whole time. Okay. Let's go to Shadow. Let's press the button. Forgot which one it was. Something happened. Yeah, it's being set to that action. However, it can still move somehow. That's because I think movement is not... It's independent of the actions. It's still being applied. But in this case, nothing's really actually happening now. Okay, the funny thing is that this O variable, this animation variable, is only here because in other actions, not in other actions, but in player animation, which is over here, change animation, there are universal actions for every character. Now you could just ignore this and just copy and paste animation over here and just have the character do an animation over here. But in this case, we're going to do that because our action is just for Shadow. Now we put it on the Shadow action group. I just want to remind people that it has nothing to do with the functionality of our code. It really is just here and named this for organization. This could have been called whatever. I just want to re-emphasize that. It's everything else that makes it work. Now, here's the thing. I didn't actually make it work yet because I didn't go to the manage action group and figure out how to make it work. Or just set it up and make it work. In this case, the game at the beginning of the game deactivates all actions and then only initiates the one that does something. So in this case, I'm not reading the chat right now as I'm doing this because I want to get through it fast. So let me just do it. And then I'll go through the chat. In this case, action 54 projectile, it needs to deactivate that, so you might as well do that. Now, I'm actually not sure if this is all necessary, but might as well. And then we go here somewhere, and we can edit this comment. This is just a comment. So 55 or 54 equals to... I don't need to do that. You do that if you want to. In this case, we're gonna set if the action was set to 54. Wait, so I did a mistake down here. I set the action to that. Yeah, that's not the action we want. It's 54. Is it? Yeah, that's the action we made. We made action 54, didn't we? I'm already getting myself confused because of all my fucking tangents. But okay. So over here, go into the. We need to find Shadow's actions again. So 54 projectile. And those other variables are interesting. I think flag allow direction allows the character to change its direction if it's set to 1. If it's set to 0, you can't change the player's direction. So let's keep that to 0. And attacking, well, attacking is a variable that's always set when your character is in a ball, usually. That means you are generally invulnerable to taking damage from enemies just by touching them. Touch damage, basically. And you're able to kill them. So if it's 0, that means you're not in a ball and nothing's really happening. Now we're gonna go over here into Shadow's animation. Let's remove this completely and just set Shadow's animation to something else. So we can go over here, animation, change animation sequence, and we can just set it to whatever animation sequence we want. I don't know what animation I want to set it to. Let's just go for stand spin. We might also want to change its animation speed because animation speed is constantly being changed. Because when you're walking with Shadow or any other character, its animation speed variable is set by a variable that being your x speed multiplied by something, and it also goes through an absolute value function and all of that. So set animation, change speed of animation. Set the speed of animation. Let's just go with 50. So always set this to that, and now we need to make the projectile actually create. Now we can create the projectile during the counter, or just have it over here, the initial event. So let's make the projectile be created in frame 5. Now what we need to do is make the projectile. So there's always that. Let's go ahead and do that. So let's make an active, and I think I have the right sprite for it. It's already here. So I can just control C this, and go over here and paste, delete this one, and we have a projectile. Now this is the center of the object. Let's move it to over here. In this case, we already have the projectile. There's nothing else we really need to do. I think there's a created start. We might want to disable that. Now we need to do the actual projectile code. So let's do that real quick. In this case, let's add a little comment over here just to separate both of those. And we can just do this always, or no, let's replace with this. We're gonna set in code for our projectile. So we're gonna check its direction of active. So if it's facing this direction, we're going to move it by something. So position, select X coordinate. We select its own X coordinate, position, X coordinate, plus 2. Okay, now we just copy this and do the opposite. -2, really basic stuff. And now all we do is whenever we go, oh my god, I fucking, okay. Come on, please. Okay, so over here we just we create an object. Oh my god, those windows are so small. Active 2, it's just called active 2. And usually you want to select one of the player's hitboxes. Either that, or you could select a skin and then have it spawn from the action point. Now the action point, I'll just select yes, just because, but an action point is an interesting little thing because, for example, here in Eggman we have the hotspot and the action point. The action point is a square, but the action point doesn't do much except for the fact that it can be set per sprite, and the action point is a point in the sprite that it's just in memory. And if you create an object at the action point, it'll just be created there in that specific position. So let's say you want to create a projectile on Eggman, but I don't want it to start from the middle of Eggman. You want to start from the border of Eggman. You put the value in here. Let's say you have a gun and you want the projectile to be fired directly from the muzzle of the gun. You move the action point over there. In this case, it's gonna be moved from the center of shadow, but we're using the action point. In this case, all you need to do is to just make it. You just click on shadow, so it's relative to shadow. You go to options and you click, instead of hotspot, you click on action point, and just click OK. Now we're going to also set this object, its animation. We're going to change its direction to, and we go click over here, just says calculate direction, but it just opens this up, and we can just go on shadow itself. Again, where is it? Okay. Position. Is this actually shadow, or is this like an after image? It gotta be shadow, right? It is. Okay. Now to its position. No, we have to set it to its current direction value. Now this object is going to change its direction to match shadow, but the thing is, we haven't created a direction for this object. It only has one direction, being this one. The directions are defined right over here. So one thing that we can do is just we can also do this. Click this button. This button will crop our image. That's really useful. It also probably decrease the RAM usage of the memory because it's just less image. Now we just right click, flip horizontally. So it's just facing the other direction. Now we have 2 directions for the image. You can increase the amount of directions, but don't matter so far. So yeah. Now I think it should be working. Let's test this one out. It's very simple stuff. Change the shadow. That's his boost. I think we're setting it to the wrong action probably. So 54, is it setting? 54 must be another action. Let's do the stupid thing and again set this to 555. And over here, we can go over here and change this to 555 again. So we go into going to manage actions again. You can see here our action changed name over there already. In this case, we go all the way down to... Oh, it's because we were activating the wrong action. My god, this is a terrible mistake on my part. Because over here we have activate group, which is just activating the group where the code for the projectile is. So I just activated the wrong one. So changing the number didn't really do much, but it's fine. So in this case, we can switch to shadow and fire a projectile. Now what it's doing is that, and we can only fire it in the ground too. Let me make this a little bigger. So fire and shadow stays still for a little bit. Well, he just stops moving and fires the projectile, but he can still move. And for some reason his animation didn't change because I've made the mistake of not actually changing his animation variable. In this case, the animation is still set to whatever it was before, so it just continues that animation. Let's just set it to negative 99999. So now it should actually do that. Now, for the X and Y speeds, let's just set it to 0 over here so Shadow will actually stand still while he fires his projectile for a second. Again, makes this a little bigger. My god, look how stretched out it is. Yeah, there we go. Shadow does a little spin and fires his projectile. Oh, it's not being tied to the direction, which is funny. Maybe this animation only has one direction, that's why it's doing it like that. Let's change it to something else then. Something that does have two directions. Let's go with pushing. So we click play. And we go over here. Oh, it's still not doing that. But, yeah. God damn it. Okay. Oh, yeah. Me being stupid. Whenever you create an object, you change its direction after it's been created. Whenever you create an object and you change the direction of that object, it will only apply to the object just created, not to every object on screen. So let's go. Oh, it did change the direction, but something's wrong way down there. What the fuck? Okay. No, that's wrong. So the code is correct, but it's still not working. So now it moves here, and okay. Why? I deactivated the code that makes it do that. Okay. Oh yeah, but this projectile, by the way, will never die. It'll continue to move forever. So one way that we can not do that, and I like to do it this way, but you usually shouldn't be using this. You can add an object behavior. And it's just a little piece of code that's only attached to this object. In this case, we click new, behavior 1, edit, and it uses this piece of shit editor. Never use this. This is awful. But for behaviors, you're kind of forced to. But anyways, we go over here. Very simple. Always just add 1 to variable A, and then go back all the way over here. Click here again, edit, and fuck, alterable value is greater than 60, and destroy the fucking thing. There we go. Simple, but still, I don't like that editor. Really don't, but... Okay, so what I've done right now is something that I've used for ages. And I really don't know why it's not working. So, there we go. Moves in that direction, obviously. Yeah, we might as well do what the guy said in the chat and just use a variable for direction. So instead of using is facing this, which it is, I think so, anyways. Actually, what we can do is this, negate. So, Okay, I have to point it towards this direction. So negate is interesting. You can just set it to anything. And all it means is that, for example, over here, key action C pressed. Oh, we can't throw a negate on it, unfortunately, but we can throw a negate into a lot of things. But in this case, it's basically checking. Is it facing this direction? Yes, then do this thing. But if no, it's going to move on the next event. And then the next event, it's going to check if it's facing the direction. Now, because we have a negate on it, if it's not actually facing the direction, all of them, like, it's going to check if it's in, like, either that one or anything else. And that should do it. So let's see. Just fucking negate the thing. Oh, it still doesn't work. Oh my god. Never mind. We have to set it to a variable. So over here, we're gonna check if it's a variable b is equal to 1. Wait, no. In this case, let's do a -1. And over here, we're gonna do a 1. So, complicated. So what we can do is that if variable is equal to 6, we can change its variable. Let's okay, now first we're gonna go over here and check shadow's direction. So direction, direction of skin. If it's that, then it's going to change this direction to that because that's obviously working. Oh, Yoni says I don't understand directions work. It's perfectly understandable. I have used directions a lot in the past. I think it's just a number. It's just a number that refers to an animation. That's all there is to it. It's just an ID that refers to something. And I don't think it's like a vector or anything like that. It's just really that simple. But you can also set a what am I doing? Just set like this is a counter, so it's not gonna do it. So turbo. Oh my god. We need to do this. So much easier. We set C to, oh, is it B? You're using B. So set it to 1. And we need to make a whole new thing. Let's use a negate over here, just like we did before. -1. Let's see if it works. So, okay, that way. Okay, now it works. What the fuck? No, seriously, what the fuck was that? Yeah, now we have an action where Shadow shoots a projectile if he's on the ground. Now, obviously, that could be replaced with a gun if you so wish. This projectile has no interaction with anything. You have to program that interaction into the enemies. Or into like a group or something like that. But in this case, you can be going as fast as you want, then comes to a stop. Obviously, you can have a way for Shadow not to stop. You can even have him just do a regular walk animation that follows all the same patterns as a regular walk animation. But he has a gun in his hand and he should shoots things. But that's pretty much how you make a character shoot a projectile. And, you know, make it work not stupidly. Because you can just create a projectile without changing the action. You absolutely can. But still. So like, okay, so can't you just if dir of shadow is 0, set dir to 0. That's the thing. It's going. I'm just changing the animation direction of this object to shadow's direction, so they should be the same. And my cat is meowing. Should I let him in? I should let him in. Hold on. Come over, cat. Cat wants to be around with us, so he's here. His name is Mono. Anyways, so that was it for that. It's gonna leave the code on screen. Well, there's a lot of code, but whatever. Okay, what I was gonna check was just going into shadow itself, and it's like, yeah, it's the same direction. It's the same variable for the direction, and it should have been working. Now let me check out you guys in the chat. I actually don't know anything about Fusion Plus. I don't know what's up with that, being honest. So, for how long we're here? We're here for an hour already, so I'm going to do at least one or two more, and that'll be it. Fucking, I can't believe Lake swore. I'm fucking chicken and crying fucking right now. I added the F words in between. My god, this is the F word. I say the F word a little too much. I do. Especially because when I'm on a stream, I kind of feel like I'm put on the spot. And I have to talk, or at least do my best to talk clearly and to not let my anxiety catch up to me. Because, yeah, that's it's been a very long time since I streamed. I am a little anxious, to be honest. So, just waiting for the next suggestion if anyone has any. Could be the last one, I don't know. I mean, let's see. If anyone's even still watching. Hello, Headless Coder. Streamable fan games when? Probably never. I have some plans. So first of all, Hedge Camp. Probably not gonna be doing that anymore. But Spectra helped me out a little bit, and we came up with another plan. So we're gonna be doing something else. That's probably more exciting than that. I just hope it's a success and not an absolute failure. I want to announce that as soon as possible. But we'll see. We'll see. Let's see. The only problem with it that I can see is that it's gonna take away some of your. It's all about learning, obviously, but it's gonna take away some of the time you guys might have spent working on your own games. So that's a problem with it, but it should be a quick event that's gonna happen, all for the learning. I was thinking of even making a Fusion rundown stream during that, so I could help you guys with what you're doing. You guys gonna know. Whenever it's announced, it'll be interesting. Can you explain about save and load system? No, not at the moment. It's making saving and making loading in Fusion is not that much complicated as for everything else. However, saving and loading is a little complicated because it probably requires making a save file and reading data from that save file, and that requires extensions, and every single one of them works differently. And I really only know how to use one, which I've been using for ages. Let me see if I can still find it. It's the Global Store X object. So it already creates it itself, and like, what is this? So you understand this? I mean, I do, sorta. I know what an integer is, and I know what a bool is, and I know what an array is, or a string is. What is a short? I think I know what it is, but I never really dealt with it. And I know what 0-based and 1-based is, but I don't know why the option is here. This object is a mystery to me. All I know is that I've used it for all my games and it has worked mostly flawlessly. But it's really complicated. It would take a little bit of time to make it work. For it to go up to 255, okay. Yeah, I imagine it would just be like an 8-bit integer instead of a 16-bit integer. So you just it's much smaller in that case. You know what? Now that I think about it, maybe I can do it. Let me see. So let's just make global store X and integers, array size. I just set this to 128. And this is 128 integers. So here's what we'll do. I'm just gonna do I'm going to do a system where And I want to emphasize this is going to be an attempt, not a full-on tutorial, because I don't exactly remember how to do it. But let's just make a new code. And what we're going to do is that we're going to save the player's position when you press a button. And we're going to restart the game, and the player should restart at that position. So we're going to call this group saving position. Without the G, of course. So what we're going to do is a keyboard, upon pressing a key, we're going to press W. When you press W, it shouldn't be like that. It should be the keyboard. No, just upon pressing a key. Okay. So what we're going to do is that we're going to go into Global Store X. And I think it does not have floats. That sucks, but we can set an integer to something. So you're going to set integer 0 to, and you have to remember like which integer you're going to set. Integer 0, because it's an array. Arrays have indexes. And basically, it's a list. And the list has element 0 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up until like 125, I think, or 127, I think, because we set an array of size 128, so it would be 127. It's maximum variable, but it's just a list, and that's item number 0. What is item number 0? Item number 0, it's going to be the player's position. So we're going to set position, x coordinate, player. Now, integer on the list, number 1 is going to be set for the y position. Let me close my door because cat is here. Cat is not here anymore. He comes here out of curiosity and then goes away. That's a cat's life. So this is saving. Now on start a frame, all we're gonna do is that we're going to just we're going to load the object. We're going to get integer. Wait, no, we're going to just set the player's position to. In this case, we're going to go to M, into animation, set X coordinate, and set get integer 0. In this case, we're going to get the integer on the list number 0, and that's just the integer number 0, which is just going to be our position. And now we're going to set, oh my god, I set the X position. I'm stupid. Just do this. That's easy. So you have to set float X to this, and now we can just copy and paste this to, in this case, integer 1. So in this case, because we haven't said anything, I think our character is just gonna come out from the top. That's exactly what I said. It just did that, and then now we can save something. Now we also have to save it to a file. So I think if you just go and save all, we can select a place to save our files. But I think there's a better way of doing this. You go over here into enter an expression, and you need to type, I think it's $ app there. I think it might be app locale plus app there. Oh my god. I'm gonna load up Spark. Let me open a new copy of Fusion. Because those things, are you gonna find that shit in a manual? No, there's no Fusion manual. Like, imagine doing this in the beginning. You just had to follow some forum post. So I'm just opening up another Fusion. Let me just open up some backup copy of Spark's source code. It's opening. It's kind of big, actually. So I think it is app there plus, but I think Nihil, I think there was something else you also needed to put in front of it. I don't think it was just that. It might have been just that. So I want to double check, because this is just ancient Fusion knowledge. I just wish there was like a list of like all the possible expressions you can add to your code and everything in Fusion, because I'm sure there's like It's okay. Ignore. The fuck? Ignore. I don't know what that is. Initial setup. Oh my god, did I use something else? I did, but it's app drive plus app there. And you need to use app drive because if you don't use app drive, I think it might assume that it's not, that it's on C instead of like on another drive. So console, okay. Let's go over here. So insert, does app path plus work? I don't know. But we can go back to Global Store X, save all, use expression, in this case, this, and now it's just called save.bin. Here's what it does. App drive and app there are the locations of your save file on your computer. Now, here's how it works. Whatever file is stored in your computer is set by, like, whatever it is, it's set by a string. This string is just text. That's what strings are. And they're usually inside those brackets. Those brackets or quotes, and anything goes in here. So for example, a file path would be like C, and then programs, and then Fusion or something like that. And then you would do this, and then like save.bin, right? So in this case over here, we just have save.bin. So what we're doing is that we're using those functions over here, or those variables over here, I'm not sure what they are actually, to just get those for us. And you can't just do it like this, because this is the file, the position of the file in your computer, but not for someone else. For someone else, you need to use those things, because then it would just get those for you for that other person's computer, wherever they put the game in. So group name. What? Group name? I don't remember that. The fuck is a group name? I use this for after the sequel. What do you mean group name? Actually, I think I might have used the other object for saving in, but not this one. Okay. Anyways, so in starter frame, now we load. So we go over here and load all. And wait, is it the E&E function or something else? Oh, it might be binary. Oh, we're saving in a .ini file, so we load the .ini file in this case. We just use the same exact thing. It's just loading from the same place. So I click on play. Before we do that, let me do a thing that'll help us out. So samples, play sample, dash. So it's just gonna play a sound every time you save data. So over here, press. It even like froze for a little bit as it saved. And I think if we check our files, we're gonna find that save file in there. Now, we saved our position. Okay. Now click play again, and there we are. That's there we go, we did it. Now just to make things a little more stupid, we can do this, save, and then we come back, and we're right when the Motobug spawns, and we die immediately. Be careful where you save your player's position. Okay, I saved the position like way up in there. Let's see what happens. Oh! Cool save state. It's not really a save state, but I mean, kinda. You can technically just save the position every frame, but it would be a bad idea. I don't know where the file is. I'm not gonna go browsing files on stream. So, you know what? Let me just remove this. Let's go check our save file. Yeah. Where the hell are they? I have like so many files in this computer. I have like I have 2 hard drives and 2 SSDs plugged into this computer. And there's just a lot of stuff. A lot of data. For example, I have like, let's say Unity and Spark 3 on the SSD because it's just faster, but everything else is on other hard drives. But Windows is on the SSD too, but I need extra space, so I bought another SSD. So let's pursue. Okay, we found the file. I told it to save it as a ENE file. It's saved as a binary. However, if we open it up, there we can actually. I opened up a Notepad++, even though it's because we named it as bin. Okay, but it's still an ENE file, and like we have all of our values over here, and we can even edit them if we want to. We can just set this to 0, and then save it, and we click play. There you go. So this is one thing about save files, that they can be editable, and you can actually use Global Store X to do many other things. One way people use things like this is for specifically modding. You can have Global Store X store item data and load item data, and so people can make their own custom in-game items just by creating their own files, basically. Okay, now I just do one more, hopefully a quick one, and we're done for today. Let me just catch up on all the chat. Somebody uses. Oh yeah, Spark 1 is massive. Someone said, just look at the volume of scenes. And check some of the maps. This is the ship level. Megaraph fleet. You can zoom out and check out the sizes. This is about as far we can zoom out. But you can kind of notice the whole level itself kind of looks like the ship you're supposed to be in, which was the idea. But yeah, they're even bigger ones. Sunfire Forest. I don't think this is a level much people like, probably because it's based on bumpers and stuff like that, but it is one of the bigger levels in the entire game. Just this section of it. Let's highlight the amount of stuff in it. Or you can just simply put app half and it works too. Okay, I suppose so. Or just stick with the thing that's always worked for me. Man, quick thing for, yeah, like I'm moving it around and like it's chugging, but it's fine. Yeah. I'm still somewhat proud of these really weird loops I made. It's like a DNA spiral loop. Dude, I don't even have the layers toolbar this whole time, and the layers toolbar is just not here. Where is it? Where did you put it again? Toolbar, layers. There we go. This whole time and it wasn't here. It's chugging. Also, why did I fix the pause bug in Sunfire Forest? Because this requires me like patching the game all over again. And like, here's the thing about making a patch. When you make a patch, you have to retest the entire game all over again. And that's why I haven't done it. Because I have tested Spark 1 thoroughly many, many times. And I just so happened to miss the fact that you couldn't pause in Sunfire Forest. Like, every time you build the game, you have to test the whole entire game. Because it has a chance that the compiler will screw everything up. And you have to just redo everything. So, not redo everything, but you have to like redo all of your testing and figure out what is actually breaking the game now, or if it was just the compiler screwing up. This is a little hidden area. Not sure if everyone's ever even noticed it. I think this is where you fight Romolo. There it is. Look at him. Where's the slash? There it is. So you guys got anything else? I'm a close spark. Nope. Don't save. Romulo the Chad boy. I think this is it, guys. Been going on for a while. I will be coming back with a new one soon enough. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna end it there then. It's been a little bit of a stream. I haven't put any timestamps. If anyone is able to do that for me and put it in the comments, I will check them and then put it in the description. If anyone can do it for me. I was gonna do the timestamps as the stream was going. Will the next one have background music? Probably not. I want my voice to be as understandable as possible when music kind of gets in the way of that. So, where's OBS? It's right over here. Okay. That's it, guys. I'm done for now. I need to go take a piss. See you guys tomorrow. Or tomorrow. Whenever the stream comes. Whenever the next stream is. So, I'll see you guys.